My best friend is a toxic top who gets off on turning straight guys. He used to laugh at the rest of us for liking fembottoms, saying we had no taste. Guys who are already out are too easy, too sweet, he'd say. Not like a straight guy you have to break in yourself, that's a real challenge, a real prize. After he turned yet another innocent college kid, I finally had enough and decided to step in. But later, my friend's hand was on the back of my neck. His voice thrilled. Honestly, straight guys are getting boring. Don't you think it'd be more of a rush to conquer a top? Staring into his intense, dark eyes, the hair on my arms stood up. This was one friendship I had to end. That night, I was at a club with a few guys from our crew, all of us with our dates. The 5 of us were all heirs to family fortunes, but John's was by far the biggest. He and I grew up together, and I'll admit I've ridden his coattails more than a little. During the party, we ended up playing a cliché game of truth or dare. The other tops and I had already agreed to mess with my friend's new conquest, a straight campus heartthrob named Sam. Before we got there, John mentioned he was getting bored, which was his usual signal that a breakup was coming. But the moment Sam walked in, I knew I was in trouble. The kid was wearing a crisp white shirt and slacks that made his legs look impossibly long and straight. He sat next to John, quiet and well-behaved, looking as sharp and elegant as a bamboo stalk. I glanced over at the clingy bottom draped all over me. Suddenly, I understood why John always said we had no taste. We rolled the dice a few rounds, and Sam kept getting the lowest number. He was forced to take shot after shot until his face was flushed, and his misty eyes shimmered every time he blinked. He kept looking to John for help, but John just sat there, lounging lazily, watching him with cold eyes. I silently cursed him out in my head. This was his classic move, his whole routine. He gets a guy hooked, knows they can't leave. Then he just plays with them. Hey, lay off him. John, your boy's in trouble. Time to be the hero, I said, trying to break the tension. A few of the guys shot me complicated looks. According to our plan, we were supposed to be the ones giving Sam a hard time. We wanted to see how far the new boy would go for John. My sudden intervention cooled the rowdy atmosphere a bit. Wow, Sam must have some serious charm. It's not every day Oliver steps in to save someone. Number 3 said, giving the 3 of us a playful look. I cursed them all under my breath. What a bunch of troublemakers. I shot a quick glance at John, but he was still sitting there, looking cool and detached. I had to force a laugh. Hey, he's John's personal guest. That practically makes him our new first lady. Right, John? My friend didn't look angry. He calmly pushed the drink in front of Sam over to me. Then how about you drink this for our first lady? Oliver. John gave me a look that was half smile, half sneer. He knew I couldn't handle my alcohol, but I also knew how ridiculously possessive he could be. He probably saw me checking out his new guy and wasn't happy about it. In the end, it was my fault for crossing a line. Fine. I'll take this one for you, bro. I glanced at the pitiful-looking Sam across the table, picked up the glass, and downed it in one go. Consider it my apology. A few more rounds went by, and with John's silent permission, I ended up drinking several more for Sam. Sam kept looking over at me, but I was getting a little buzzed, and the club lighting made it hard to see clearly. I just had a feeling there was gratitude in his eyes. This round, Sam lost again. By this point, I was starting to feel it too. I'm a lightweight, and it was like Sam was cursed with bad luck tonight. I was about to signal for a truce, but the guy next to me wasn't having it. We agreed to truth or dare. What's the point if you keep having someone else drink for you? The bottom leaning against me whined in agreement. Yeah, if you're not gonna drink, then tell us the truth. What's it like being with our John? What's the difference between a man and a woman? A couple of the other bottoms giggled. Sam bit his lower lip, saying nothing. His gaze was locked on John and only John. I remember John telling me that Sam used to have a bit of a temper. He was the star of the school basketball team and wasn't easy to win over. The fact that he was still sitting here, not flipping the table and walking out, just showed how much power my friend had. But not only did John not shut it down, he just waved a hand dismissively. Go on, Sam, tell us. I want to hear too. Toxic. He was just so damn toxic. I could feel Sam's back tense up. He looked so pathetic. He was just a wholesome college kid. Not one of us in the scene who could brush off these kinds of jokes. Hey, who said it had to be truth? Sam, just pick a dare instead. I pushed the bar's box of game cards toward him. The mood was tense, he had to choose. So Sam had no choice but to draw a card. Choose anyone on your right and maintain lip contact for 3 minutes. To his right sat John and me. Next to me, John let out a knowing, sarcastic laugh, put down his glass, and leaned back, spreading his arms. It was like he was saying, "Go on. This is what you wanted, isn't it?" With everyone hooting and hollering, he looked so incredibly punchable. Sam was clearly still pissed at him. "Oliver, right? I choose you." I watched as Sam came toward me, his expression defiant. My muddled brain felt like it was about to explode. My bro or the boy? But that question disintegrated the moment Sam's lips touched mine. Under the dim lights, the booth fell silent for a moment. There was only the sound of a kiss and 2 heads moving in the shifting lights. What was supposed to be a perfunctory touch suddenly ignited a fire between us. I tilted my head back slightly, my Adam's apple bobbing. We exchanged breaths, a strange scent invading my space. His clear eyes reflected my own dazed expression. My mind started to go fuzzy. He was right. That fresh, crisp sugarcane was nothing like soft, sweet fruit. My eyes were half closed when he pulled at my shirt, and a button popped off my collar. A small sound escaped my lips without me realizing it. The sounds of the world started to return. The clatter of bottles and glasses being knocked over on the table. "Ahem, Oliver, you two have gone over the time limit." Number 3 coughed awkwardly. "I'm so screwed. Oliver, what the hell are you doing?" John's lips twisted into a sneer as he stared at us, his voice dangerously low. He looked absolutely furious. That guy always had a bit of a paranoid streak. He wasn't gonna let me off easy this time. John had a problem he's had since we were kids. Nobody could touch his things. If they did, he'd destroy them. He said they were dirty. But if he wanted something, he had to have it, even if it meant snatching it from someone else. When we were young, he was the little tyrant of our privileged circle. Everyone did what he said. Back then, my family's business was failing, and I was ordered to suck up to the Yu family. Because of one of his weird quirks, my parents made me grow my hair long so I could be his companion. Later, because of how well I managed John, my family got what they wanted and our fortune was restored. I got to stay in John's 5-person crew, ranked as number 4. John was number 1, Chris was the capable second in command, and number 3 was the shrewd one. Besides me, there was also the youngest, who was a few years younger than me. We were all from prominent families. I think as I've gotten older, my nerve has grown exponentially. As the party broke up that night, John roughly shoved Sam into his car. I couldn't help myself. I slipped a napkin with my number on it into Sam's hand. But I never got a friend request and I figured it was a lost cause. Until a few days later, my phone finally buzzed one morning. I typed furiously on my end. "Sam, did he give you a hard time that night?" Took him half the day to reply. "No." I got anxious and drove my sports car straight to John's private swimming pool. The familiar receptionist told me John was there, as usual. I changed into a robe and went into the indoor locker room, trying to figure out what to say when I saw him. Knowing John's track record, he'd be sick of Sam in a few days. I just needed to smooth things over, wait for them to break up, and then make my move. "Ha ha ha, dude, you should have seen your face. You were staring." I didn't realize he was the real beauty. "Are we friends or not?" "How can you even say that?" "Because we're friends," I kept my hands off. "Shut up. John's gonna kill us if he hears." I could hear the voices of the guys from the club over the sound of the showers. I turned off the water and stepped out, wrapped in a towel. "Where's John?" The guys standing at the public showers froze. They probably didn't realize someone was in one of the stalls. Oliver. The youngest one flinched, nearly slipping. "Get a grip." "Oliver, John's by the pool," number 3 said, glaring at the kid. I nodded, and on my way out, barefoot, I gave the trembling kid a light kick. I didn't bother to look back at the sound of him slipping and falling. The kid's still just a baby bird. At the time, I thought those scumbags were talking trash about Sam. I was pissed, so I let off a little steam. I had no idea what was coming. By the pool, Sam was standing in the hot sun holding a tray of fruit, sweat pouring down his face. John was wearing sunglasses, lounging on a chair under a large umbrella. Clearly, Sam was being punished. What an ass. I dropped my robe, dove headfirst into the water, and swam toward them. The splash soaked them both. Hey, you two. What are you doing just standing around on dry land? Come on in for a swim. John watched me with a scrutinizing gaze, as if he were a judge deciding my sentence from on high. But come on, I've known the guy for over a decade. He wouldn't be that cruel. Splash. I pulled him into the water with me and we swam a lap together. I caught my breath and leaned in close to his ear. Are we friends or not? You're really gonna get mad at me over a game? Can't you take a joke? John leaned against the edge of the pool, studying me carefully. We were close, and he suddenly wrapped an arm around my waist. My hands were pinned behind my back in the water. He yanked my wet, long hair, and the pain shot through my scalp. He let go, but his hands slid down to the base of my spine, feeling like a knife's edge. Good. I taught you this from the beginning. Oliver, you know my boundaries. Sam is nothing, but there are consequences for breaking the rules. His chilling warning sent a shiver down my spine. My heart was pounding. If John was some kind of madman playing games with the world, then the rules were the very chains he forged to keep himself in check. I knew that after weighing his options, John had decided to let me off the hook. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as I could wait for his novelty phase to pass, I still had a chance with Sam. I forced a smile. John, whatever you still want is always yours. We've been friends for years. You think I don't know that? John's expression was hard to read. I'm glad you remember. After that, I made a show of being completely obedient. When it came down to a crush versus my relationship with John, I knew which one to choose. But I never expected Sam to be the one to reach out to me. Oliver, can you come keep me company? The message sat on my phone screen for a full minute. After that incident was put to rest, we hadn't seen each other once. John and I went back to our usual hangouts, but he never brought Sam along. 3 months had passed without a breakup, and I was getting impatient. I secretly made an alt account with no mutual friends and added him. I'd occasionally drop a comment on his posts. He knew it was me, but we rarely talked. I felt a certain amount of guilt for betraying my friend. But, I'm a guy. Some things you just can't control. And you can't hide them either. On a whim, I went to the apartment John had given Sam. When I saw him, he looked worn out. How do I put it? He was like every one of John's exes who had been terrified of being dumped. It wasn't a good look, but in my eyes, he seemed particularly pitiful. He was curled up, his body trembling. I couldn't stop myself from wrapping my arms around him, my lips gently brushing the hair by his ear. Sam jumped, startled. In his haste, he knocked over a vase on the coffee table, and the water splashed all over me. He looked panicked and helpless. His eyes were still red. I could only comfort him with a sigh. It's okay. I'm the one who scared you. We quickly cleaned up the mess on the floor. But my shirt was completely soaked. I borrowed his bathroom to take a shower. I was actually very familiar with this apartment. Chris, our number 2, had designed and decorated it. Sam offered to find me some of his clothes to wear. But the thought of John finding out made me reconsider. I'd have no way to explain it. So, I ended up bare-chested, a towel wrapped around my waist, blow-drying my clothes in the bathroom. Sam stood by my side silently, helping. The tips of his ears were red. We were standing close, and he was clearly a little uncomfortable. I intentionally let the atmosphere hang, staying close to him. I have to admit, my body has a certain appeal. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say I'm considered prime material among tops. Broad shoulders, a narrow waist, lean muscle, it's a visually pleasing package. If I tense my abs just right, you can see a clear 8-pack. My fair skin is a slight drawback, but my aesthetic was influenced by John. The first was never going for the big, burly bear type. I subtly tried to ask about him and my friend. So, how are things with you and John lately? He's found someone new. He's always out early and back late, if he comes back at all. He gave a bitter smile. I feel like he's about to dump me, but I hate the person I've become. I don't think I can ever go back to my old life, he sighed softly. This was John's signature brand of cruelty. I comforted him for a long time, looking at him gently. Our eyes met and held, taking in every detail of each other's faces. He looked down, his eyelashes fluttering. Breathtaking. As I was leaving, he helped me put my shirt back on. Right before I opened the door, he wrapped his arms around me from behind. Ding! The sound of the elevator arriving echoed in the hall. This was a one-apartment-per-floor building. It was obvious who was here. In here. Sam frantically pointed to the nearest bedroom. The adrenaline rush was so intense I didn't hesitate for a second and ducked inside. Luckily, I didn't have any of my things with me. I had just put my shoes back on. I heard Sam's voice, a little strained. You're back early. They were walking toward the room I was in. Did you have company? Oh yeah. Sam said, for the student council handover. A junior came by to pick up some documents. I heard John laugh. Your junior has interesting taste. She wears a very unique men's cologne. My heart pounded. Scorpio Rose, it was a custom scent, very few people used it. I was so used to it, I never noticed the smell on myself. Clearly, Sam was no perfume expert. Haha, well, you know how girls are these days, they have unique tastes. A moment later, John opened the door to the room. The bedroom had a minimalist design. The only place big enough to hide a person was a floor-to-ceiling wardrobe. The closet doors had no handles. The entire surface looked like a seamless white wall, and I was curled up inside it. Why so tense today, I heard the rustle of clothing. Bro, it's still early. The sounds of protest gradually faded. I felt like my heart was racing at 180 miles per hour. Only a thin panel separated me from Sam outside. I just leaned against it. I can't even describe what I felt during those next few hours. It completely redefined my understanding of intense for the past 20+ years. During the long wait, my mind started to drift. The sound of a shower started in the bathroom. In the darkness, it seemed like Sam opened the closet door. A sliver of light pierced through. Our breaths were inches apart. The bathroom door opened. John stood silhouetted against the light, holding something. Did your junior take a shower in here? It looked like a single long strand of my hair. How did he find that? I was sure I had cleaned the counter. Oliver. I opened my eyes, drenched in sweat. Sam was holding the closet door open, looking at me with an apologetic expression. I rubbed my eyes. No wonder I was dreaming. The light from the open door must have woken me. He's gone. I'm sorry I made you stay in here for so long. I tried to calm my still racing heart. Did I fall asleep? Sam, standing so close, gave a gentle smile. Yeah. I was calling your name for a while. Were you having a nightmare? I grunted in agreement. Ignoring the numbness all over my body, I climbed out of the closet. The sky outside was completely dark. The second half of the day had been pretty awful. It was more than a little awkward, so I said my goodbyes to Sam. But Sam stopped me. It's already dark. I made some supper. You must have been starving all day. Why don't you rest here tonight? He said John won't be back. He usually disappears for a long time after he comes by once. His eyes looked so lonely. Against my better judgment, I agreed. After we ate, I started to feel drowsy. We lay on the same bed, holding hands. We didn't cross the line. Because of that dream, I was exhausted and fell asleep quickly. The night was quiet, but I heard a soft sha-sha sound by my ear. As I groggily woke up in the darkness, I saw a figure hovering above me. My lips were being kissed hard. Sam? The person paused for a moment but didn't stop. It seemed like all restraint was gone. A cry of pain escaped me. His hand gripped my shoulder, slowly applying more pressure. I never would have guessed he was such a little wildcat. Easy, baby. That's not how you do it. I wasn't angry. I cupped the back of his head and took control. The next morning, the smell of breakfast woke me up. I watched him, wearing an apron, looking so gentle and refined. I snuck a kiss on his cheek. I fantasized about our life as a couple, living a simple yet romantic life just like this. At the breakfast table, he blushed shyly. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Hey, you were so bold last night. Don't tell me you're getting shy now that the sun is up. For a second, he looked confused, but then he caught on. Oh right, it was dark last night. Did I kiss you for a long time? I gave him a wicked smile. Very passionate. Under the table, I didn't see his hands, resting on his lap, clenching tighter and tighter. And so, Sam and I maintained our intimate relationship, but we never crossed the final line. I waited for him and John to break up. Sometimes, when John was away on business, I would secretly take him out. We'd take intimate photos that only the two of us would know about. But the days passed, and the news I got wasn't about their breakup. It was a text from him, begging for help. Oliver, help me. John found out about us. I was filled with anxiety. I tried calling him back desperately, but he never picked up. Then I tried John, but he just declined my call. I spent the next few days searching everywhere. I went to his university but couldn't find Sam. He had vanished. The most popular guy on campus, the student body president. Gone without a trace. In just a matter of days. It wasn't until I managed to track down one of his roommates. He dropped out. I heard he pissed off someone really important. It was not good news. If you hear anything about him, please, you have to tell me. I wrote a string of numbers in his notebook. I'll give you $1 million for any news about him. The roommate gave me a strange look. You're the side piece that ruined him, aren't you? You've already destroyed him. That's what he said. A guy like him, a campus celebrity, he could have had a normal life after college, gotten married, had kids. He could have had anything. You probably don't know, but he has a sick father at home who needs medicine. He worked his ass off with part-time jobs just to get into a good university. He was forced to drop out. He has nothing now. And I heard the person getting revenge on him isn't planning to stop. $1 million? If you have that kind of money, you should be using it to fix his problems. He tore the page out of the notebook and threw it at me. Why did everything change so fast? Did he find the pictures we took? I left, full of guilt and despair. I was trapped in an agony of anxiety, like a cornered mouse, waiting for the cat, John, to decide when to execute me. Until a message from John popped up in our group chat of 5. He was organizing a get-together. The same old club. Sitting in the familiar booth. The other guys were laughing and drinking with their dates. Only John and I sat alone. Oliver, what's wrong? You're not looking so hot. I managed to smile at the youngest one, my eyes looking past him to John in the center seat. His eyes met mine. The little mouse is worried the owner is going to destroy the thing he stole. Isn't he? The youngest one burst out laughing. What a cute little mouse, so sentimental. If something gets stolen and dirted, of course you have to destroy it. You're not going to keep using it, are you? John raised an eyebrow. Well, that depends on what the little mouse does. Number 3 chimed in, John, what could you possibly want that you'd have to be so frugal about? The mouse and the stolen thing should both be destroyed. Listening to them talk, I felt a growing sense of dread. I interrupted them, forcing a laugh of my own. What's with all this talk about mice all of a sudden? John, what about your last date, that guy Sam? How come I haven't seen you bring him around? Even though we both knew what was going on, I still didn't want to tear away the facade. I couldn't afford to. He crooked a finger at me, and I moved to sit beside him. You like him that much? My throat felt tight. I whispered, Bro, let him go. It's all my fault. I'm the one who fell for him. He slowly caressed the back of my neck. His expression was unreadable, neither happy nor angry. Let him go? Sure, I can do that. For a split second, I felt a surge of hope. I stared at him with wide, pleading eyes. He must have understood. His eyes glinted, reflecting my desperate expression. I was pinning all my hopes on our years of friendship. He once said he thought of me as a little brother. But his next words plunged me into an icy abyss. Honestly, turning a straight guy like Sam is kind of boring. Don't you think it's more exciting to go after a top? He said, Gotcha, little mouse. After the party, I ran away like a coward. John's last words sent me spiraling back into a childhood nightmare. I was 7 when my parents sent me to the family's house. Like so many other families, they hoped that by sending their child to be a playmate for the crown prince, they could gain some advantage in the business world. The young master, several years my senior, was a mischievous boy who loved games. He had endless energy. When he played shooting games, he'd use small animals as targets without a shred of pity. When he played with toy cars, he'd fearlessly crash into the other kids' cars. And when he wanted to play hide and seek, every single kid had to play with him. Getting caught meant suffering his cruel punishments. Hiding in a dark corner, I never knew when John would rip away my cover and find me. "I got you." Those words were like a death sentence from a demon. I was caught often, and my long hair would become his plaything. He wanted a big doll, so all the adults just accepted that my long hair was normal. I once ran home crying. I sobbed and threw a tantrum in front of my parents. But they were completely unmoved, their faces stern. "You can't even play a game of hide and seek, right? Do you have any idea how hard your mother and I worked to raise you?" They drove me back. "You go back there and behave. Go apologize to young master. As long as you become his little brother, our family can go back to the life we used to have. If I just become his little brother, we can go back to how things were." From then on, I always did my best to be perfect. Finally, I was able to make a request to John. "Brother, if I'm the last one to be found this time, can I have a reward?" I asked him, "If I win, will you promise to always treat me like your little brother?" He must have found it amusing at the time because he agreed. I closed my eyes and curled up in a filthy attic. I waited until every other child had been found. In the dead of night, the adults realized one child was missing. I had one. John actually kept his promise and treated me like a brother. Following the rules of the game was perhaps the only good quality John possessed. But now I had broken his rules. He was definitely going to make me pay. I went to find Chris, the second in command. He chewed me out for my audacity, but he was more like a real older brother to me. My relationship with him was better than with John. He frowned, looking at me with disappointment. "Oliver, you're just as much of an asshole as John." "I'm sorry," I said, lowering my head in shame. "Chris, can you help me find Sam?" He placed a hand on my head. "I'll help you," just like when I was a kid and got into trouble or when I made John mad. He always said that. Chris was the same age as John, just a few months older. But under John's influence, we all just called him by his rank. Even though I was closest to him, I never called him Big Brother Chris. Only when I needed to beg him for something would I call him that. Chris became John's playmate the same year I did. He quickly became John's right-hand man. He handled many of John's personal and professional affairs, including small things like decorating his properties. He had always been like a capable, all-purpose tool for John. But I knew that even as a child, he was smarter than the others. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been the one to last. My phone remained silent. I was like a mouse trapped in a cage, just waiting for the cat, John, to decide when he felt like killing me. Until I got a call from my family, telling me to come home. I rarely went back to my family's mansion after I grew up. This time, it was for my little sister's birthday. She's 15 years younger than me. I bought a doll set at the mall. I picked out a style the little girl had mentioned she liked the last time I saw her. As soon as I walked in, she ran up and jumped into my arms. "Brother," I carried my chattering sister inside. My mom was in the living room, directing the maid to clean up the mess from the birthday dinner. My dad was sitting in a recliner. He put down his newspaper when he saw me. "You're back." I grunted in acknowledgement and put my sister down. "Brother, I already have this doll set." My mom came over, doting on her. "Her room is already overflowing with dolls. There's no more space in our room either." The little girl pouted. "Then let's give away the ones that aren't cute." "Brother, I have lots of friends to play with." I gently touched my sister's cute little pigtails and smiled. "I didn't know. I'll take you out to buy one next time." Most of my sister's friends were from families that were slightly less well off than ours. The same story, repeating itself at a different time. People have emotions, and finding an emotional shortcut is something many people in a lower position will try to do. That's no way to think. Why not ask your brother to buy you a big house to fit more dolls? My mom said with a laugh. "I don't want a big house. I want to live with mommy and daddy forever. Then my sister took my hand. And my brother. The whole family laughed at her childish words. See? This is why they say you should raise boys with less, but raise girls like little princesses. We don't have that problem of favoring boys in our family. We've raised him with confidence, so she'll have a different kind of grace when she grows up. I interrupted my parents' conversation. Dad, has there been any trouble with the business lately? My dad frowned at me. Nothing major, but the payment for our collaboration with the family hasn't come through yet. It's strange. The family has always been very prompt. I put all our capital into this project. My heart skipped a beat. Will it be a problem if it doesn't come through? Our cash flow is tight. We can't wait too long. You and John are good friends. Can you give him a nudge for me? This amount is nothing to him, but it's a different story for our family. I said, my relationship with him has been rocky lately. We should probably write this deal off as a loss. My words made the entire living room go cold. How can you say that? If your relationship is bad, then go beg him. If he so much as stomps his foot, our family is finished. Do you really want to see your little sister lose the good life she has at such a young age? I couldn't hold it in anymore and exploded. Beg, beg, beg. Is that all I'm good for? Am I not your son? Why was I the one who had to be his companion, his servant, when I was a kid? Do our lives really have to be this luxurious? My parents looked at me like I was a monster. Oliver, are you jealous of your sister who's 15 years younger than you? How did we ever mistreat you when you were little? We were struggling financially back then, but weren't you living 100 times better at the house? You were practically decked out in gold and silver, weren't you? Did young master ever treat you poorly? If anything, it's you. You became brothers with him and never came home. Do you even have us in your eyes anymore? My mother's voice was shrill. That night I had a dream. The four of us, my family, were dressed in rags, begging on the side of the road. John's luxury car sped by, splashing us with mud. A line of bodyguards got out of the car. At the very back was John, holding a leather whip. You little thief, I've got you now. I woke up in a cold sweat. The terrifying thing was, as absurd and dramatic as the dream was, the reality could be far more brutal. So I went straight to the bank. Are you sure you want to liquidate all of your investment accounts? Despite the bank manager's baffled questions, I confirmed without hesitation, even if it meant taking a huge loss. I couldn't be sure that in a few days all my assets wouldn't turn into liabilities. Lawsuits for breach of contract, family bankruptcy, it wasn't impossible. After all these years, how could I not know what he was capable of? I handled the liquidation. A few days passed. Everything went smoothly with no interference. Chris was efficient. A few days later, I received a call from an unknown number. I eagerly made my way to a remote and dilapidated urban village. I finally saw Sam, whom I had been searching for days. It's hard to describe how I felt when I saw him. Just half a month ago, he was like pristine snow, a vibrant bamboo stalk. Now it was as if all his life and energy had been drained away. We spent the afternoon together in a cramped little room. He said, actually, I've been worried about you. I was afraid he would hurt you too. My heart twisted with guilt and pain. He didn't hurt me. Don't worry. I felt like a pathetic, cowardly wretch. Sam, let's leave together. We'll go abroad. I'll find you a better university. But the warmth of the moment suddenly turned cold. Oliver, I still have parents and family here. I asked you to come here for 2 reasons. One was to make sure you were safe. The other is just one thing. His thin body suddenly dropped to his knees before me. I'm begging you, make John stop his revenge on me. I don't want to play your games anymore. His voice was so clear, yet it pierced through my eardrums and struck my soul. My face went pale. But I'm also a target of his revenge. He won't listen to me, but you're still fine. He hasn't done anything to you. And yet, I'm the one who broke his sacred rule. It just so happened that he was getting sick of me anyway. Sam said with a sarcastic smile, his words sharp and perceptive. This is all your fault. So, Oliver, you have to take responsibility. It was my fault for my weakness and my curiosity. But I was too scared. We can go somewhere else and live the same life. Bring your parents. My family is rich too. We can afford your tuition and your father's medical bills. I gripped his shoulders. I tried to pull him up, but it was useless. His eyes stared straight at me and I looked away. There was something in them I didn't dare to face. I'm sorry. He bit down hard on my neck. I left a bank card on the table. It held half of my assets. I fled that place, walking out of the dark and grimy alley. For the next few days, I hid and secretly watched Sam. I watched him wear his only decent set of clothes to one interview after another, only to be rejected every time. Even when he tried to apply for a job at a street-side boba tea shop, a group of thugs would show up and cause trouble. Days of frustration led him to stand for a long time in front of a nightclub. Panic seized me, and I rushed out to stop him. What are you doing? The card I left for you, why aren't you using it? Do you know how much money is in there? I yelled like a madman. Was he really going to let himself sink this low? Coming to a place like this? He looked at me calmly with a hint of mockery. You don't get it, do you? This is useless. John's target is you. As long as I'm not suffering enough, as long as you don't go to him, this will never end. Why isn't he hurting you? I stared at him, my heart in agony. Finally, I made up my mind. Fine, Sam. Kiss me again. Okay? I reached out to John myself. It was as if he had predicted everything. I don't want a half-assed, reluctant performance. Oliver, you know what I like? I knew. As friends for over a decade, I knew his preferences perfectly. I went to a store and bought a one-piece silk robe. Pure white silk, with a matching lace ribbon. Just before I walked into John's mansion, I got a call from Chris. Oliver, don't go. His voice was frantic. You might not know this, but Sam's apartment has always had hidden cameras. I'm the one who installed everything. You know, I wouldn't lie to you. I let out a soft laugh. So that's how it was. Everything in the story finally made sense. But it was too late. John, standing on the upstairs terrace, waved at me. You're here. I hung up the phone and looked up at him with a smile. After entering, I dropped my trench coat on the floor by the door. Wearing my newly bought robe, I walked inside. As I went up the stairs, I took out the lace ribbon. I tied it around my eyes. I swallowed hard. My hand on the old wooden staircase, I climbed step by step. It felt like walking toward the gaping mouth of a beast waiting in the darkness. John's epilogue. I love the way Oliver looks when he's in pain, biting his lower lip to keep from making a sound. His long hair spread out on the white sheets, beads of sweat glistening as they slide down his beautiful jawline. His eyes get wet, like beautiful glass beads. He's had that stubborn look in his eyes since he was a kid. My father once told me that if you truly want something, you must learn restraint. Only savages snatch things without following the rules. In the end, what they want will leave them anyway. But that cunning little fox, he schemed and plotted and actually managed to beat me once. From then on, he lived in my heart, but I couldn't bring myself to touch him. I thought I would always treat him like a little brother. He would sit beside me, quiet and well-behaved, looking as sharp and elegant as a bamboo stalk. Perhaps when he truly fell in love with someone, I would break free from all my restraints and reveal the monster within me. It wasn't until he actually kissed Sam in front of everyone that I realized I could barely contain my own rage and jealousy. I hated it when other people looked at Oliver with that same desire. Especially Chris, with his act of hiding his pain and pretending everything was normal. Chris knew everything about me, but he was too much of a coward. He was capable and we were both equally fake, but I had more chips to play. If it weren't for Oliver, perhaps we could have been real brothers. I could wait for the old game to end, and for a new one to begin. Until that day when Chris and I were at the office, and I saw the surveillance footage from that apartment. He was like a peacock spreading its tail, his shirt off, leaning against Sam. The trap I had set, and Chris had become my accomplice. I waited for my long-awaited little butterfly to fly into my arms, willingly and without complaint. Fortunately, in the end, I won this game.